Hi everybody, I'm Ryan. Today we're going to talk about Gruul Aggro in Pioneer. We're going to look at card choices. We're going to look at the overall strategy of the deck in this deck tech. Let's jump into it. So this is Gruul Aggro. It's actually really close to the standard version of the deck because there's so many good cards that were printed in standard. It's kind of like a mouse aggro deck, comboed with all these aggressive cards as well. So let's just go through the 1-drops. I'm just going to go in mana cost order. So we have Burst Lightning. Burst Lightning is great shock, great removal. It also can be kicked later in the game for a little bit extra damage for that last push. Heartfire Hero is a 1-mana 1/1 mouse that is relevant. With Valiant, when it becomes the target of spell or ability you control for the first time each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on it. When it dies, it deals damage equal to its power to each opponent. So very good alongside pump spells or, things like that with the Valiant. Kimono Faces Kakazan is just an incredible aggressive card. It's a saga. On the front side, it says on the first chapter deals 1 damage to each opponent and each planeswalker they control. Its chapter 2 is the next creature spell you cast this turn enters with additional +1/+1 counter. And its third chapter is it flips into a 2/2 haster, where if a creature dealt damage this turn by a source you control would die, exile it instead. It does everything our deck wants. We're playing 4 Monastery Swiftspear, which is very good alongside non-creature spells, which is also good alongside these pump spells, what we already talked about is good with Heartfire Hero. We're playing 3 Reckless Rage. One, because we can target our own creatures like Heartfire Hero and Emberheart Challenger to be able to get their triggers and kill something the opponent has. But also we can Reckless Rage alongside Swiftspear, and the prowess trigger will resolve before Reckless Rage resolves and it kills things. It's also really good alongside Screaming Nemesis to deal an additional 2 damage to the opponent and make sure they can't gain life. Reckless Rage just works in this deck really well. I'm playing a Thud as an additional cost to cast the spell, sacrifice a creature. It deals damage equal to sacrifice creature power to any target. So this is a way to fling. Essentially very good alongside pump spells like Monstrous Rage, which for some reason we skipped. Pump spells, but also especially super-duper good alongside Heartfire Hero because it essentially deals double its power to the opponent because you also get the Heartfire Hero trigger. Speaking of Monstrous Rage is our primary pump spell. As a 1-mana target creature gets +2/+0 until end of turn. Create a monster roll, a token attached to it, which gives +1/+1 and trample. Also, because it's a spell that targets things, it triggers Heartfire Hero and Emberheart Challenger, which we'll talk about in just a second. Gives trample so you can trample over stuff. Kind of protects because it buffs up their butt and triggers prowess and triggers Valiant, all that stuff. Playing 2 Bushwhack, not to fix our mana, but just a 1-mana fight card because you target your own creature. So again, it triggers Heartfire Hero and Emberheart Challenger. And we're playing 2 Snakeskin Veil to fight against other removal. 1-mana, put +1/+1 counter on target creature you control, gains hexproof till end of turn. We've mentioned Emberheart Challenger already a few times. It's a 2-mana 2/2 with haste and prowess. When it becomes the target of a spell or ability you control for the first time each turn, exile the top card of your library. Until end of turn, you may play that card. So it allows us to dig through our deck. It also has prowess in and of itself. It combos with all these cards we're already playing because of Valiant, because of Heartfire Hero. It's just very good. We're playing 3 Manifold Mouse. Is a 2-mana 1/2 with Offspring. And at the beginning of combat in your turn, target mouse you control gains your choice of Double Strike and Trample until end turn. 99% of the time you're going to select Double Strike. But notice Heartfire Hero and Emberheart Challenger are both mice. And Valiant is not heroic. Valiant doesn't care that it's an ability. So when Manifold Mouse gives Heartfire Hero or Emberheart Challenger the Double Strike, then it either gets a +1/+1 counter for Heartfire Hero, or you get to exile the top card with Emberheart Challenger. Both extremely good, and you can do it every single turn. We're playing 2 Innkeeper's Talent because again it targets, so it triggers these things, pumps up our guys, makes them hard to answer, and puts even more +1/+1 counters, which is very good, alongside Heartfire Hero. Very good alongside Snakeskin Veil. We're playing 2 Questing Druid to be able to dig through our deck even more, but also it's just a really grindy card. And we're playing 3 Screaming Nemesis, which we've already talked about how it combos with some other cards in our deck, but also it's just so difficult to block and just needs a super clean answer. Being a 3/3 for 3 with haste, when is dealt damage, deals that much damage to any other target. If a player is dealt damage this way, they can't gain life for the rest of the game. So good. As far as our lands go, we have the basic red-green lands, some basic mountains, Soken's-On, things you should already know what they do. We're playing 2 Den of the Bugbear for our man lands. 4 mana, man's up to become a 3/2 red goblin creature. When it attacks, create a 1/1 red goblin that's tapped and attacking. And then we're playing a Ramanap Ruins. It's just another way to get the additional last few damage. We can pay 4 mana and sacrifice a desert and deals 2 damage to each opponent. This is the only desert, but so really it's pay 4 mana and we get to sacrifice itself to deal 2 damage to each opponent. So we are attacking, we are protecting our creatures, we're pumping up our creatures. That is essentially what's going on in the main deck, with a few cool combos with things like Reckless Rage and Manifold Mouse. As far as the sideboard goes, we're playing 2 Torch the Tower, partially as additional removal for the aggressive decks, but playing specifically Torch the Tower is important because it exiles, so other Heartfire heroes aren't triggered, it gets rid of Phoenix forever, stuff like that. Playing Magebane Lizard for combo decks and like Phoenix, because it's a 1/4 for 2. When a player casts a non-creature spell, it deals damage equal to that player equal to the number of non-creature spells they cast this turn, so it really punishes them for casting a lot of the same spell every turn. Playing 2 Pyroclasm for these aggressive decks, because Pyroclasm frankly isn't that good against us. Most of our creatures survive it. 2 Urbrass Forge for the slower decks. It's a 3-mana artifact. At the beginning of your combat in your turn, put an oil counter on Urbrass Forge. Then create an X1 red Phyrexian horror creature token with trample and haste, where X is the number of oil counters on Urbrass Forge. Sacrifice that token at the beginning of the next end step. We're playing 2 Hazard of the Fervent for decks that are really good at answering what we're doing, and we end up with no cards in hand and are just totally burnt out, which is a 5/4 for 4 indestructible haste, can't attack unless you have 1 or fewer cards in hand, and you can discard a card. So like, once you get over 4 or 5 lands, you can discard the lands by paying 3 mana and dealing 2 damage to each opponent. We're playing 3 Pick Your Poison, decent 1 mana artifact and enchantment hate, really good against flyers, see like Archfiend of the Dross and stuff like that, or like Fable the Mirror Breaker, whatever. And then we're playing Grafdigger's Cage for our graveyard hate. There is Gruul Aggro in Pioneer. If you liked this video, please be sure to like and subscribe. Check me out on social medias. Links are above me and in the description. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.